further ado, I'd like to hand over the presentation to talk to about the 4290 series. Once again, this is our new product series for wireless devices with battery operated. And I would like to turn that over to Heath. Heath?
Hey, thanks, Jim. You know, I see some names that I recognize on here, so I hope nobody makes fun of me for saying this later on, but I'm genuinely excited about this device. I know people don't normally get pumped up about GPS tracking devices, but here's the thing is that, battery technology and network technology were always served as a sort of a barrier that we could only get so small, we could only last so long with what tools we had at our disposal. Previous generations of this kind of tracker were usually, about the size of, two soda cans, melded together. Whereas these things are legitimately pocket size, easy to hide, easy to stash away someplace. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the use cases. So one of the interesting things that drives innovation for us at Suntech is we really like to listen to customers. We really like to let customers come to us with their use cases and feedback, and then we adjust accordingly. So the original plan for this device was that it was just going to be sort of a static asset tracker when you've got, yellow iron or equipment that just sits out, on a yard or in a lot for extended periods of time, and you just want it to phone home periodically and know if it moves. And it's great for that, and it'll last for a lot of years doing that. But in the course of actually doing beta testing and the development of this over the last year or so, putting in the hands of some of our customers, we come up with a lot of other really cool stuff that people are doing with this today. I'm going to talk a lot about dealerships because that seems to be a really hot ticket item for us right now. So particularly when we talk about, car dealerships, so this can be both lot management and also test drives. So you've got, this tiny little device, and as you can see sort of from the pictures there, it's easily concealed, like in the Toyota Camry. There you've got it tucked in the door pillar. In the Pathfinder, they put it back with the jack. That allows, for lot management. So for those who aren't familiar with that concept, when a car dealership has, lots and lots of cars, pardon the pun there, and they need to know where they are. They have a customer that wants to see a vehicle or test drive it, then they're going to go ahead and locate where that vehicle is on their property and be able to go retrieve it in a timely manner. The other is tucking it in when a customer does an off-the-lot test drive. They take it home for the night. They just want to know that this guy's not taking off and going to another country with their vehicle. So it gives a real easy deployment. There's no wiring required, really easy to use. The second use case is for small vehicles. And you can see here we've got, ATVs, watercraft, motorcycles. You could also put in that category ride mowers and professional landscaping equipment. So this is an area where people don't necessarily need real-time tracking. They're not scoring the drivers on these things. What they want to know is if something happens to it and it gets lost or stolen. So this is an opportunity to sell directly to dealers. It's an opportunity to sell to OEMs. And it's an opportunity to sell to individuals where this could be easily hidden, tucked up under a seat or inside of a housing or something like that, to be able to track it in the event that an item is lost or stolen. I think I covered most of those. You can probably go to the next one there, Jim. So as I alluded to on the last slide, when we look at the size of previous generations, I mean, they were big. They served a purpose, but it wasn't something that was going to be discrete that you could easily hide. So when we look at this is the 4-year battery. So small little device here, not much taller than a quarter. And then this is the big brother. This is the 4290L. Which is going to give you a 7-year lifespan. And incidentally, those lifespans, just for the ease of calculation, that's basically 1 ping a day. And Henry will get a little bit more into how that works. But we want to make it easy to assume the life cycle. So, simple math, if we make it report twice a day, you're going to get 2 years versus 4 years and so on and so forth. So for deployment, what we see a lot is using the little tabs there and be able to put zip ties. If you just want to stick something in easily, quickly, you can hide it up underneath. You can also use those for screws. But then we also have this really convenient little magnetic mount. Let me make sure I'm doing this the right direction. And that just snaps right into there with super strong magnets, so you can slap and track at a wind. You can put that on a shipping container or under a vehicle. You can use it for private eye investigations. We see that a lot, and that whole sort of market. I think I covered everything from the practical standpoint on this. And I'm sure you've got some questions that are going to come up here, but I'll hand it off to Henry because he's going to get a little bit deeper into the smart guy stuff. Thanks, Henry.
Hey everyone, just to follow up on Keith's presentation there, one of the main questions that comes up is how do we get to that 7-year battery life? One thing that we do is based off of the main end user, the customer. The consumer mode is what we do where we send 3 reports per day, only with 1 with GPS. So what that does is that the customer only needs just wants to know that the device is able to track. They don't need to know the status of it every day. So 3 reports per day, 1 with the GPS. And alluding to what Heath was talking about, we came up with these other modes, which is able to track each device, each customer, each lot based off of IMS mode. So IMS mode is what we call inventory management system. That's good for the new car dealerships where the vehicles will be on the lot. They don't need to know the status of the location at each moment. But as soon as the car does move, we do send a report where the vehicle is parked so that we can easily service and find that vehicle for him. Also, when we move on to other modes such as away, it's a way that we can minimize turning on certain parts of the hardware so that we can maximize that battery life. Away mode is useful for when the customer is known to build parked on for a long period of time, like if they're going away on a business trip, they'll park it at a long-term parking. So they know that the vehicle won't move, but as soon as it does move, it will send an alert. That alert will notify the customer so that when it does move to a different location, they can find that for you guys. Then lastly, recovery mode. That's our vehicle theft recovery mode. So that will drain the battery the most, but that will ensure that the device is on at all times so that you can find that vehicle. It's a lot easier to replace our unit than to replace our stolen vehicle. So that device is always on. And for the battery operator tracker, if you're familiar with our old legacy 4910, 4950 series, we built in that features for you guys so that it's easy to drop in that device into your current platform service. So that basically covers all the modes. Consumer mode will get you that 7-year lifespan. IMS mode, you can reduce a little bit more depending on how often the car is driven. In the away modes and recovery modes, it's will be a little bit more intensive on the battery. I believe you can go to the next slide, Jim.
Perfect. Thanks, Henry, and thanks, Heath. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat session or just raise your hand. We're going to start off with a couple questions, Heath and Henry, from Gideon. So the first question we have is probably a little bit more towards Henry Tran. Henry, with the concealed installation such as under a trailer or vehicle, how well does the GPS antenna perform?
As long as the, hold on, show the device. As long as the antenna is, the device should be facing up no matter what, or in performance. But if there's enough space where there's a reflection off of the ground, or you should be able to get the GPS antenna, or you should be able to get location. If it's inside of a trailer where there's no reflection for the sky, then it'll be a little bit harder to get that GPS location for you guys.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Henry. The next one from Gideon as well, maybe a little towards Heath, is that if we're going to be providing replacement batteries.
Sure. Okay. Thanks for that question, Gideon. It's a good question and one that I've already fielded a bunch of times. So I'm going to I'm going to qualify this answer. So we don't really want to encourage necessarily end users, that is, Jim Bob's trucking, to try to pop these things open and change out the batteries, because the risk of having somebody mangle it is real. But for somebody like yourselves, absolutely, we have batteries available right now for the 4290L. I don't believe we have them in stock yet for the 4290. But we will make those available, and they're going to be a pretty standard battery style as well. So we want to make it easy, and it's literally just, and Henry, keep me honest here, but I've looked inside these things. It's literally just pop open the top, open it up, plug and unplug the new battery in there. So we want to make it easy to use. The batteries are relatively inexpensive, and yes, we have those available and will in the future.
Thanks, Heath. Gideon, I'm taking you off mute. Did that answer your questions, or do you have any other follow-up questions we can answer for you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect, Gideon. Thank you.
So one other follow-up question would be for the modes. Can we set it up to sense motion, and while not in motion, report maybe twice a day, and then while in motion, report every several minutes?
Yes, it will be dependent on the mode. Usually, if you're familiar with our 4910, 4950 series, the battery operated mode will be able to handle those features. These devices are still programmable to your configurations, your timing reports, but those are just our default values to get the maximum life out of these units.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions right now, Gideon?
I think that's all.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for your questions. We're going to move on to Yukon. Henry and Heath, the next question is the device configuration management process the same as the ST4500?
Yes, it is. These devices are programmable in our Suntech configuration tool. Everything is the same. There's a slight difference in the reporting interval page, if you're familiar with Suntech, but it's the same process. Yes.
So I just want to add to that, if I could, Yukon, I mean, I know you know from experience, but for those who maybe don't, our goal is always to be really, really easy to work with and make our devices really easy to deploy. So we typically, when, with a new customer or an existing customer that's bringing on a new device, we can provide a quick little worksheet, and you just kind of fill out what it is, how it is you want it to perform. And we'll have one of our engineers, one of the guys on Henry's team, reach out to you directly, work with you to create that initial profile, so you're not wandering in the dark all by yourself. So we want to make it really, really easy to use these things.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Yukon, is there any other questions we can answer for you right now?
No, that's all.
Okay, perfect. Next question, guys, is coming from Trent. Is the L the same technically as the 4290, just a longer battery life? Maybe Heath, that's a question for you.
Same device, bigger battery, slightly larger box. Yes.
Okay. Trent, I unmuted you. Is there any other questions we can follow up with you? We'll come back to Trent. Next one is from Armando Parra. Maybe this is for Henry. What is the IP water rating for the device?
It's IP67.
Perfect.
So it's capable of submissive for at least 30 minutes at 1 meter.
Perfect. And also, you can continuously spray it with a hose, right? And that's a good.
Right.
Armando, I took you off mute. Is there any other questions we can answer for you?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to our next question from Steve Underwood. He'd want to give partial credit trade in about 30 unused 4910s. I think we're always open to work with our partners, Heath, but I'll let you address that a little bit more.
Maybe Steve and I could take that one offline later on, but I'm sure we can figure something out for you, buddy.
Okay, Steve, it looks like you got multiple accounts open, but I'm just going to one of those. Hopefully you can talk, and did we answer your question? Okay, we'll let it come back. It looks like we we pretty much have a good amount of questions. If anybody has any additional ones, please put them in there. Bill Boyles, I'm going to call on you just for a second here because I know that you have a lot of opportunities with the new car dealer and the buy here, pay here channel. I know this is a sort of a game changer for that. Can you explain a little bit how you think you're going to take this to market and how this might help the new car dealer or buy here, pay here market?
Absolutely, Jim. Thank you. The fact that they're battery operated, small with mountable bottom on them, you can tie wrap them to something in a vehicle, enables, and also for the slide on magnetic mounts, makes it affordable and easy for the buy here, pay here or car dealer channel. The more we get into electric vehicles, the more complicated vehicles are getting these days, especially in the new car dealer channel. They don't want to cut and splice wires. These are perfect for that type of application, and with the features that it enables the car dealer to do, locate on demand, get an update where the vehicle is throughout the day, and going to certain modes makes it perfect for the SVR, stolen vehicle recovery aspect of either one of them. And I think it's a great add-on for the new car dealer channel. We're going to see explosion in sales in those avenues.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill. I think we got most of the questions answered. And once again, if you do have questions, the entire Suntech team is here to be able to support you. I think we need to keep the webinar on time, so we're going to move to the next section.